What is up, y'all? Metalhead Mike here. And you might be asking yourself, who the hell is this guy? What the hell does he know about the UFC? And why is he wearing a wig from the 80s? I don't know either, okay? Just go with it. Here's my goddamn picks. Now let's get into breaking these fights down. I'm gonna start with the ones I give the least rat's ass about to the ones I would write in the street if I don't ever get to see. First fight we're gonna be talking about is Yorgan De Castro and Greg Panther Man Hardy. Now I really don't care too much about either of these guys, but there's one rule I follow in heavyweight, and that's always fade Greg Hardy when you have a chance. I don't know much about this Yorgan De Castro guy besides that he knocked out scuffed Mark Hunt a couple months ago, but that's enough for me. I'm willing to throw one unit at plus 155 or higher, mainly as a fade on this stupid Panthers playboy. Second fight, same weight class, way more interesting. I've been excited for this fight ever since that crazy flash last second knockout that Rozenstruk had over the Demolition Man himself, Alistair Overeem. Now, I've made a lot of money betting on Ngannou in the past, especially when he faced off against Curtis Blades a second time. So I don't have any lack of faith in the big Nigerian nightmare. But you're talking about a man with a level of kickboxing fights and experience that Jairzinho Rozenstruk brings to the table, and you're telling me I get that at plus 235 odds? I'll throw a unit on that any day. There's only gonna be one big black beast that comes out of this cage, and I'll throw a couple dollars that Jairzinho has a better than 30% chance at winning. If this were even odds, trust me, I'd be betting on Ngannou as well. I love betting on that man. It just don't make sense here. Now this next fight is actually the pick that I'm the most confident in. And that's why I'm giving it the big old 4 diddly-do units. Of course I'm talking about the rematch, the 7-year-old rematch. Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Anthony Showtime Kick Superman Punch Pettis. Now you could look at Pettis' record and tell me that it's unimpressive. Dude has been losing a lot of fights, but I'd tell you that you'd be flipping my flapjacks. Because look at the strength of schedule Pettis has fought over his last 10 to 12 fights. I'm going to read out some of the names. Diego Ferreira, Nate Diaz, the pressure fire nightmare child for people who fight like Anthony Pettis and Conor McGregor. Wonderboy, who he knocked out with that crazy Superman punch. Tony El Kakui Ferguson. I don't even have to explain that one. Michael Chiesa. Dustin Diamond Poirier. The man who just beat one of the best pound for pound fighters ever, Max Holloway, and gave Khabib a run for his money. Jim Miller. Max Holloway, just talked about him. Charles Cowboy Oliveira. That dude is one scary mofo that many people refuse to fight. Look what he just did to Kevin Lee. Edson Barboza. Now this is just getting ridiculous. And the two before that, Eddie Alvarez, Rafael Dos Anjos. The dude's strength of schedule is insane. The fact that he even won some of these fights is insane. The fact that Donald Cowboy Cerrone already lost to this man 7 years ago and doesn't seem to adapt his fighting style at all based on his opponents. Anthony Pettis is at his worst when facing pressure fighters or great counter-strikers. Donald Cerrone is neither of this. That man will walk into all of your punches and just pray that that he's the last man standing. Donald Cowboy Cerrone is a great fighter, but this is a horrible matchup for him. Now, he does have going for him that this is not as big of a limelight as Conor McGregor was, but it's still a pretty big fight. And it's certainly a very different kind of fight. And I really wonder how else Cowboy is going to react without the fans there to cheer him on. I think he'll have a lot harder time with that than Pettis. And Pettis doesn't seem to play into his fun friends fighting game. He just goes in there and kicks out his goddamn liver. Well, I'll tell you what, I see this ending the same way, the exact same way as it ended 7 years ago. Anthony Pettis with an early first or second round TKO. He's gonna kick that liver out of him the second time. We're jumping into co-main now, and honestly in a fight that seems to be flying under everybody's radars millions of miles away, we got the Dominator, Cruz, coming off, another 3.5 year hiatus? He don't care. He doesn't even think ring rust is real, and I gotta believe him based off the past results. Now, when I looked at this line initially, I thought, maybe I'll bet on Cejudo. But then I look at it more. And Dominic Cruz is not a man to be taken lightly. Also keep in mind that when Henry Cejudo beat TJ Dillashaw, that was down at his more native division, flyweight. He's moved up. I know he beat Marlon Moraes, but he's fighting Cruz in his division. And Cruz has a pretty big height and reach advantage. Yes, Henry Cejudo is one of the best fighters out there, but Dom is a game plan genius. Now myself, along with the rest of the world, your grandma too, probably saw that crazy beatdown that Cody, no-brain Garbrandt put down on the Dominator a couple years ago. But Garbrandt is an interesting story. He was literally trained and mentored exactly in all the exact ways of how to beat Cruz from his longtime rival. Also, he's gone through a shoulder surgery since his last fight. And that, from what I hear, that's one of the hardest surgeries to come out of normal. The way I see it, Dom Cruz has had 3 years to rehabilitate his brittle-boned body, and he's gonna come in and decisionate Cejudo and make him the 2C. And if you think Cejudo's gonna make this a wrestling match, think again. When and how many times have you seen Cejudo really use his wrestling in the UFC? And Cruz has great takedown defense. This is likely to be a striking war. And I'm gonna put my hard-earned money on the Dominator himself. And finally, we reach the pinnacle. The fight that we didn't necessarily want, that we didn't necessarily ask for, but a fight that is as close to 100% guaranteed to be a goddamn barn burner. We got two of the baddest jabronis throwing down, and while it's under unique circumstances, that certainly ain't enough to not get me insanely excited for this fight. In one corner, you got Justin the Madman Gaethje, the human highlight reel. The man has been sleeping people ever since I saw him walk in the UFC. The man has no quit in him. And the man has some serious knockout power. On the other hand, you got Tony, El Cucuy Ferguson. The man has been around 3 times as long in the UFC as I've been following fights, and the guy only wins. And Tony's a madman. He made weight for a fight that didn't even exist a couple of weeks ago, and he made it again today. If there's one kind of man I love to put my money on, it's the crazy man. It's the lunatic. It's El Cucuy. And so for this fight, I'm gonna throw an average size bet of 3 units on Tony Ferguson at odds minus 175 and under. When it gets to the minus 200 mark, it gets a little dicey though. Now there's 2 ways that people think that this will play out. 1, Gaethje gets a knockout early into the round. Or 2, the school of thought I'm subscribing to, Tony drags him into the championship rounds 4 and 5 and brings him into his world. I'm gonna go with Tony Ferguson via consuming the soul of Gaethje in round 3. And I'm just gonna guess a random timestamp, just in case I'm right. Round 3, 3:39 left on the clock. And that's it, folks. Metalhead Mike. And now there's only one thing left to do.